Today's first take brought a mix of tough decisions, new beginnings, and reignited rivalries in the NFL. From John Lynch's candid remarks about Brandon Ayuk's future in San Francisco, to the immediate impact of Mike McDaniel's arrival at the Chargers, to the extra spice added by Baker Mayfield in the divisional rivalry, the show covered the main topics that help explain the current state of the league and the directions shaping up for the next season.
Here's John Lynch today on Brandon Ayuk, his future in San Francisco.
I think it's safe to say that he's played his last snap with the Niners. It's unfortunate, situation that just went awry, and I will look long and hard at what could have been done differently, but sometimes just doesn't work out, and I think that this was a case where that happened.
Man, okay, by the way, Ayuk has not played a snap for the Niners since week 7 of the 2024 season when he tore his ACL and MCL. Phil, not surprising, right, based on the way this thing had been going, but what do you think comes next for Ayuk?
Well, so I'm assuming, I shouldn't say I assume, the Niners could trade Brandon Ayuk because he's still under contract, but if he becomes a free agent, let's just do a little bit of obvious dot connecting. A former 49ers executive, Adam Peters, now works as the GM in Washington, D.C. Quarterback there at last check, Jaden Daniels, began his college career at Arizona State with Brandon Ayuk. Dot connecting right there for you. That, to me, would be an obvious potential landing spot for Ayuk if he does become a free agent. And that team certainly needs some wide receiver help and to get younger this offseason, Dan.
Yeah, I think the first step for any team is why did it go the way it went in San Francisco? Indifferent of the ACL injury, because there were rumors that it wasn't great beforehand and obviously not great afterwards. I agree with Washington. If New England doesn't make a run for a player like an A.J. Brown, I could see that. If the Pittsburgh Steelers don't make a run for a player like A.J. Brown, I could see that. Tennessee as well with the young quarterback. So I think teams that have young, cheap quarterbacks certainly have to at least do their homework on Ayuk.
Yeah, reminder, too, I mean, it's been a long time since he's played, but no indication that he couldn't still go out there and do what he's done before. All right, let's get to another interesting coaching story. Former Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel has a new team. Jeff, what can you tell us there?
Well, he's headed to the Los Angeles Chargers after extensive meetings with that team a day ago. McDaniel ultimately deciding that that's where he wants to be. Now, I will say that the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Philadelphia Eagles both put on pretty good full-court presses to acquire McDaniel as their offensive coordinator. It was their #1 pick. McDaniel, though, ultimately lured back to California, personally feels like he's going to be comfortable out there, and also obviously loves the idea of coaching Justin Herbert. It is interesting from the presentation of he's going out there with Jim Harbaugh, who's an offensive-minded coach. The question becomes, how does that blend together? But McDaniel feeling like that this is going to be a very good fit.
We'll get to the football in a second. I just want to make the comment, anyone else like these two personalities together is going to be amazing.
Mandatory press conference.
I love it.
Hard Knocks. If you're watching right now, is there any way we can make that one happen this
That's a good one.
Please. It would be
recently, though?
so good.
Probably.
Maybe. But either way, do it again. Dan, Justin Herbert, he was under pressure the entire season, right? He was just under duress. Can McDaniel come in and help in that way? They do get Joe Alt back, and the run game, I'm sure,
I think
helps.
this is as good of a decision, both-sided, that we've had so far in the NFL offseason, proverbial offseason. I think it's the best move for Mike McDaniel to set himself up for the next head coaching job that I feel he's likely to get, and I think it's the best position for an offensive coordinator to go to. This is going to be a very good offensive line if they're healthy. This is an organization in LA with a head coach, and philosophically, they want to run the football. They want to be a downhill run the football team and protect their quarterback. That's Mike McDaniel's strength. Also, as much as I love Tua, this is a physically much more gifted quarterback. And so Mike had Tua, and Tua's got some things in his game that Justin doesn't from an anticipation standpoint. He's got a quarterback now that he's never had the type of, at least physical talent at quarterback. So this is a home run for the Chargers. I think it's a home run for McDaniel.
Yeah, now we're cooking, right? I mean, I understand the limitations last year offensively because you lost your 2 offensive tackles for much, if not all, of the season, as was the case with Rashawn Slater. But this offense, and I know I always defer to Dan in these sort of matters, but certainly struck me, and I think a lot of defenses, is vanilla, bland and predictable, right? Mike McDaniel, the complete opposite of that, right? This guy has a new pitch he's throwing every single game, sometimes every single half, sometimes every single drive. The running game should be much more creative. It's great news for the first-round pick a year ago. Amari and Hampton, he'll be weaponized in ways he was not weaponized this past season. And I got to be honest with you, I always find it a little bit refreshing during these coaching and GM hiring cycles where the person who's making the hire, in this case Jim Harbaugh, brings aboard somebody he's got no attachment to previously, at least to my knowledge, and Jeff can correct me if I'm wrong there, but at least based off where they have coached previously and when they were there, this is somebody who went through a thorough, honest process and just said, I'm going to hire the best person. And Mike McDaniel is the best candidate. I thought he was the best, most qualified offensive coordinator candidate on the market this offseason.
You know, I'm a sicko, and I was watching back our Monday Night Football game, the Chargers against the Eagles, earlier today. That was the day that Justin Herbert was playing with the broken hand that had just recently had surgery on it. And you just watch him and you're like, God, get this guy some help. Like, he is so talented. They do have some great playmakers on that team. I'm excited to see how this one comes together.
They got to stay healthy.
Here's Baker Mayfield being petty, and I love it. There were some fireworks. He responded to a reporter who said that he and new Falcons coach Kevin Stefanski failed in Cleveland. Failed, quote, is quite the reach, pal. Still waiting on a text call from him after I got shipped off like a piece of garbage. Can't wait to see you twice a year, coach. It's worth noting that it wasn't actually Kevin Stefanski that said that, but either way, Jeff, you have covered Baker for years in Tampa. What did you think of his comment?
John Lynch's words sounded like a final point in Brandon Ayuk's time with the 49ers. Even with the active contract and the weight of the knee injury, the tone was of a cycle coming to an end. One of those cases where, regardless of talent, the relationship simply didn't work out. The market, however, looks promising. Teams with young and inexpensive quarterbacks, such as Washington, New England, Pittsburgh, and Tennessee, make sense for a receiver who can still produce at a high level. In parallel, Mike McDaniel's move to the Chargers emerges as a home run for both sides. Justin Herbert gains creativity, protection, and a system designed to maximize his physical talent, while McDaniel repositions himself as one of the most sought-after offensive coordinators in the league. The expectation is for a less predictable, more dynamic, and above all, more efficient offense. And as the NFL also thrives on excitement, Baker Mayfield reminded everyone that personal rivalries still exist. His comment about Kevin Stefanski reignites old wounds in Cleveland and adds fuel to divisional clashes. It may seem excessive, but this kind of tension is part of what makes the spectacle more appealing.
First of all, he's never called me pal, thank God, because I think I would cry. Because being called pal is just, that just hurts. Listen, this is classic Baker Mayfield. I remember talking to somebody at the Bucs building when things were going well. And I was like, man, everybody must be in a good mood. He's like, oh no, when things are going well, that's when Baker comes in and just completely manufactures something to be pissed off about. Like it'll be just ridiculous and minuscule, and he'll find a way to be upset. This, on the other hand, does feel big to him. And by the way, it's awesome that they do in fact play twice a year. He has already made it clear how he feels about the Carolina Panthers for throwing him out like trash. And now we have another team in the division. So if nothing else, I would say that I'm here for it, and I would guess that you guys are too.
Oh, we are.
I think people kind of forget, like, what happened, like, where is this animosity coming from? And it's hard to point to a specific singular event that triggered all of this. I just think that people have to remember that during the final year in which Baker Mayfield was a Cleveland Brown, right, there was some personality misfits between him and Kevin Stefanski. And, of course, the team made a gigantic, one of the biggest trades and certainly one of the biggest failures in NFL history by trading for Deshaun Watson to take Baker Mayfield's job. So this was not something that just, like, it wasn't a singular moment. I think there was maybe a year or multiple years of tension that led to this. I have a take, though, and I was thinking about this a lot last week when we were watching before the Rams and then the Bears game, where there were some reports that, Sean McVay was perhaps disappointed by some of Ben Johnson's comments in relation to Matt LaFleur. This is great for sports, guys. I respect guys who have respect for each other. But don't we like a little bit of bad blood? Think about some of the greatest rivalries that define like our childhoods. Like there was true hatred there. I'm in for this. If there is true, deep-spirited hatred between at least Baker Mayfield towards Kevin Stefanski, I don't know if the reciprocal is true or not. It's great for twice a season next year.
What is that face? Yeah. Dan likes bad blood.
Hatred.
Okay. Dan, at the root of this, though, Stefanski never found the guy at quarterback in Cleveland. Do you trust?
He had him. It's the guy that
He had him? Okay, right. So he never made it work. Do you trust him to make it work in Atlanta, whether that means working with Michael Penix Jr., Kirk Cousins, I don't know, or bringing somebody else in?
I do. I think Kevin Stefanski's a very good coach. I love both of these guys. I'm with you. I love the fact that there's a little bit of dislike between the two of them. At some point, I guarantee they're going to get together, have a beer, and say, let's move past it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think in Atlanta, and I think Atlanta's a place ripe for winning. I have said this. Kevin Stefanski goes to Atlanta. Kirk Cousins is his starting quarterback. I think they can win 11 games. Yeah. I truly believe that because of the offensive line, the offensive skill talent, Kirk Cousins' strength, and the style of scheme that Kevin Stefanski, now I would hire Tommy Rees as my offensive coordinator if I was him, to be determined, but I think the scheme is good for that quarterback. There's so much young talent on their defense, and if it's not Kirk Cousins, I think the next question you ask yourself, Atlanta, is because Penix's lack of development and the injury is, can you trade for Mac Jones, or do you believe, I don't, that Ty Simpson of Alabama will fall to you in the second round? I don't think he will.
Yeah,
I believe he'll be in the first round, but skill set wise, I do think that would be a good match.
Yeah, just as it relates to Mac Jones, Kyle Shanahan was asked about that today. He said, quote, you always listen to people with trade offers. We're also not getting rid of good players, so I'd be very surprised if Mac wasn't around next year. Remember, Mac Jones had to perform in key moments this year when Brock Purdy was hurt.
Move for Mac.
They need to, right? Mac and Malik Willis going to make a lot of money.
The episode makes it clear that the NFL is in constant motion. Cycles close, new partnerships emerge, and old stories gain new chapters. Ayuk's possible exit shows how off-field decisions can be just as determinative as on-field performance. McDaniel's arrival at the Chargers symbolizes vision and boldness, and Baker Mayfield's outburst proves that the league is still fueled by passion and rivalry. In the end, it is this combination of strategy, talent, and emotion that keeps American football so fascinating.